You're listening to the Bob Dutko Show. So we're working our way through this news hour, news and politics. All right, so here's where we stand right now in the Electoral College map. Hillary Clinton still has the advantage. I would argue that based on the polling, this isn't a matter of opinion, okay? It is just a fact that if the polls are accurate, and that's the big question, if the polls are accurate, Hillary Clinton would win the election if it were held today. All right, if the polls are actually accurate. Here's what this is going to boil down to, folks. It's going to boil down to it's going to boil down to Trump outperforming the polls. Outperforming the polls basically means you have a disproportionately higher percentage of Trump supporters who go to the polls and a disproportionately lower percentage of Hillary Clinton supporters who don't go to the polls, who just stay home. So low turnout in the big cities and high turnout among Republicans. This is what could cause Donald Trump to outperform the polls. So let me just say, and listen to the show, I'm a realist, okay? I don't blow smoke. I tell you the way that I honestly see it, okay? Hillary Clinton is poised to win on Tuesday. She is currently poised to win on Tuesday. Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed. It's not impossible that Donald Trump could win Tuesday. But I have to level with you, okay? The odds are against it. They are. What needs to happen, because the last thing I want to do is discourage Donald Trump supporters or Republican voters in general. I don't want to discourage you from going out there. Okay? It is possible for Donald Trump to win. But the only way that he's going to win is because a disproportionately high percentage of conservative Republicans, and by the way, especially evangelical Christians, went out there and voted for Trump. If there's high voter turnout among evangelical Christians for Donald Trump, and if the never Trumpers suck it up and vote for Donald Trump, if they do that, why do you think I've spent so much time on this show trying to convince you folks, don't go third party, it's a vote for Hillary Clinton? Because, folks, if the never Trumpers will suck it up and say, all right, I'll do it, I'll vote for Donald Trump, right? If they will do that, and if evangelical Christians will say, I'm not going to stay home, I'm going to go to the polls and I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, if they do that in big numbers, Trump can pull this out. But if voting is average for Democrats and Republicans, if voting is average and the never Trumpers stay never Trump, then I got to tell you, folks, Hillary Clinton's going to win on Tuesday night. All right, because the polls are, Donald Trump has to outperform the polls, and he has to outperform them pretty strongly. Here's what he's got working against him right now. You know how I've told you the individual states, and I'm going to kind of give you a daily update on where we stand in the states, and then on Tuesday we'll go through the Electoral College in a lot of detail. But as I've told you, there are 3 battleground states that are must wins for Donald Trump. If he loses any one of these 3, it's over. Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio. Florida has 29 electoral votes. North Carolina has 15. Ohio has 18. He has to have all 3 of those. The reason he has to have all 3 of those is because when you look at all of the states that Hillary Clinton's already got in the bag, she's close enough to 270 that there's some other states that are leaning toward Hillary that's going to be more difficult for Donald Trump to get. His best chance right now, it starts with Ohio, Florida, and North Carolina. Here's where we are in Ohio. All 3 of them are toss-up states. Ohio, most of the polls, Donald Trump is barely ahead by a couple of points. North Carolina, it's a dead even tie. Some polls have Donald Trump ahead by 1 or 2. Some have Hillary Clinton ahead by 1 or 2. It's a dead even tie in North Carolina. Florida, Hillary Clinton is slightly ahead by just a couple of points in Florida. But they're all within the margin of error. So that's why I say to you that of those 3 states, it is razor thin. Razor thin. So Donald Trump has to win those 3 states Tuesday night when you're watching the elections, when the polls close in the Eastern time zones, if they say, we project Hillary Clinton to be the winner of, if they say that about Ohio or North Carolina or Florida, any one of those three, it's over. Say a prayer, go to bed. Hillary Clinton's the next president. All right? Now, let's say Donald Trump does take those three. Here's some other states that are key and that are in play right now. Virginia is considered a battleground state, but in all fairness, Hillary Clinton's most likely going to take Virginia. She's leading in the polls. Most of the polls, the Real Clear Politics average by about 4 points or so. That's a strong enough lead, and I don't see Donald Trump taking Virginia. Georgia is in play, but Trump is slightly leading in Georgia. I think he'll probably take Georgia. But these are the battleground states right now. New Hampshire is considered a battleground state. Now, it is possible that Donald Trump could pull off a New Hampshire win. That is possible. But it doesn't do a lot for the Electoral College because there's only 4 Electoral College votes in New Hampshire, not many. But here's what it would be an indicative of. New Hampshire is not like one of the southern Bible Belt states. New Hampshire is still kind of a, New England type state, although it's more conservative of a New England state, but still. If Donald Trump is able to win New Hampshire, that's a very good sign that the Trump movement is doing well and that he's outperforming the polls, and then maybe he'll do that throughout some of the western states too. So watch for New Hampshire. It'll be a very good sign if Trump wins New Hampshire. Now, Pennsylvania's in play. Pennsylvania's a big state. That's got 20 Electoral College votes. At this point, Hillary Clinton is leading in the polls in Pennsylvania, but not by much. Maybe about 3 or 4 points or so. So that is overcomable by Donald Trump. We'll have to see. But that's considered a battleground state. So those are the Eastern time zones battleground states. Michigan at this point is still leaning Hillary Clinton, but not by much. She's leading in Michigan, I'd say an average of around 5.5 points. So it's possible that Donald Trump could pull out Michigan if he outperforms in the polls. And that's why I tell you folks listening to me here in Michigan, if everybody in my audience, if every single one of you in my audience went out and voted for Donald Trump, that would be enough for him to pull off Michigan. So it is very doable. But anyway, I'll go through just a few others of the states. When we start moving in the central and western time zones, I'll give you the latest on those, and we'll do that next. You're on